race number 3 at MEYDAN, the first meeting of 2014, and I don't think I could have found a harder race to pick one in. This was the one we were going to stick final recovery in, and looking at it, it'd have been in my top 16. It's a tough race. Come on, you've been around the stables, tell me what they're saying.
Like we say, when I was doing the stable tour, I was tipped 2 horses at my stables this morning, only 2. We've covered one of them, and the other one was in this race, and it's number 10 Dharam, a Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum horse, ridden by Paul Hannigan. Ran once at Jebel Ali on the 13th of December, and and he's ran quite well, and they said it's going to improve over this longer trip, which it was running over in the UK. Won a 1700 metre maiden at Beverley, and they do think a lot of this horse apparently. And the word was it's working well on the Peter, so that's why they think it will go well.
Well, there's 14 runners, and I just showed you what I'd sent to the paper this morning. I went through this race, I looked at a few. I know that there's a couple of nice Hamdan horses in it. I know Doug likes Inad as well, the one that Patrick Dobbs is on. And I thought when you said Sabra had said he liked one, maybe the one that Dan O'Neill's on, because that's not a bad little horse as well, and his form here last time isn't bad at all over his trip. But this was a tough race. I went through it a few times and thought, well, representative, he's been running over further, I think he needs further. If you're going to have a jockey come from behind, Richard Hughes is one of the best, but why isn't Richard on one of Masaba's horses as he's here to ride for Masaba? Then I realised they're all being ridden by Sheikh Hamdan jockeys. Checkers didn't like his run last time at all. Jamhuri, that's not a bad effort behind Al Nashmi.
Yeah, it was very good.
But I'm not convinced the extra distance will suit, even though his one run over a mile here was a length second to last fighter, which isn't bad. But strangely enough, when I went through the whole pack, I did end up coming up with Paul Hannigan and Dharam. And if you don't believe me, check out the paper, because it has to go in before we do this.
No, this is it's well drawn. I think all Sheikh Hamdan horses are well drawn right next to each other. 5, 6, 7 and 8.
I thought it got a nice draw. I thought the trip looks right. It looks a decent horse, and that's what I threw down. I haven't found anything yet to change my mind. Normally by the time I send them to your site, I've had a bit longer to look.
I think there's a couple in here, like Crackdown, who's won at he's a Jebel Ali horse. He likes the track, but there's nothing there for him next week, as you say. So he's here. There's horses like Al Bayan, who doesn't win but runs decent races in maidens, but he's out of his depth here, I'm sure. Al Bayan. That Checkers making a quick comeback from last week.
Didn't like its run last week. He may not have liked the track, but I didn't like it at all.
No, but they're bringing him here straight away. So are they thinking that? I don't know. Are they thinking they need lots of races?
Possibly. Drawn 14 worries me anyway.
He's out with the washing, isn't he? There.
But I was talking to Tig before racing, and I said the reason why I tipped Checkers last week is Seeking the Golds seemed to really like that track. And then didn't tip Fiscal in the last, who was a Seeking the Gold and had hated it here, and had ran really well there. I'm not convinced he's going to love this track, but I can't from 14 anyway.
I would have thought they used Jebel Ali as a real pipe opener
to set him up
to come here, but they wouldn't have counted on being drawn 14, would they?
Well, I like the same one you do. Paul Hannigan, Masaba, who's on form on this track, Sheikh Hamdan, who's on form. All his horses are doing well. Dharam, is that how you pronounce it?
Dharam, yeah.
So that's 2 for Dharam. That's race number 3, which I think is a real tough race. So,
I agree.
Won't be one I'll be putting my well-earned pounds on anyway.